I'm ready to set the fingerboard on the neck, and what I've done is I've put a couple of staples into the neck, and I'm going to take one leg out, bend it up. It's going to leave me a little point. And I can use that point to poke into the back of the fingerboard so that it has something to grip when the glue is on. Pull that one right out. So we're left with a little point sticking up. We set the fingerboard in place where it's going to rest. And we press down. That leaves a mark that we can drill out. I take my smallest drill bit and I drill a small hole right where those marks are. And then I test. It should drop right onto those holes. This way when it's glued up, it doesn't slip. It stays in the perfect position. Alright, because the fingerboard has a curved shape, I'm going to use my sanding block as a caul to make sure the pressure is even. Some glue down. I've marked the holes for the tuners, and I'm going to drill 11/32 holes, which are the size I'll need to press in the bushings. Holes are drilled. Now it's time to fit the top, make sure the neck will fit, and then we're going to notch the box for the neck. So this will be the top, and I'm just going to get this trimmed to size, and then we can start notching and fitting. The top is fitted, it matches. So now I'm going to make sure I have my center line marked, and I'm going to notch so that the neck drops in. This will be the way the neck goes. If the neck is going to drop into the box, the cover needs to fit right there, which it does. So the cover fits between the notches. When we notch this, it'll drop right in. We'll glue it all together, and we'll have basically our box complete. We'll eventually glue the back on, but the first thing I need to do there is I need to install the electronics. Once the top is on, I can put the sensors in place, then I can decide where we're going to have the controls. Okay, I've got my center line marked. I'm using a centering ruler. The neck is 1 3/4 inches wide, so the slot has to be 7/8 wide. So I'm making a mark 7/8 of an inch from either side of that center mark. For the depth, this step represents where the cover will be. So the depth within the box will need to be 7/8. Make sure it's the same on both sides. Yeah, 7/8 down. So what's happening now is I've got the initial chunks cut out, and I'm leveling the bottom of the last and cut it short of the line, and I'm bringing these in because I did cut inside the line. I want that neck to fit very snugly. Everything is now fitted. Top fits nice and flush. It's looking pretty good. My next step will be to figure out what I'm going to do about a sound hole. Figure out how I'm going to mount the electronics. I think that because the space is so tight in here, it's going to be tough to mount controls on the front. I think the volume control will either be on the side here or in the back. And the jack, so they're probably going to be in the back, just so they'll be out of the way. And once that's all determined, we'll be ready to begin gluing it up. At this point, I've started to carve the neck. I've got various tools available to me. I'm using a saw rasp, which I really liked. It's good to get it roughed and get it down fast. Cabinet maker's rasp, which will help me refine the shape, and then spoke shaves. I'll probably use a couple of files also to get it smoothed out, and then it'll be sanded. Now that most of the shape is refined, I'm just taking my spoke shave and cleaning up some of the tool marks. I've used a fine file in the curves. I have my fret wire. I've given it a slight pre-bend because it's a 16-inch radius, and I just take my time and I cut each piece individually as I go along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a piece a little longer than what I need. And I usually take a little bit of the tang off on either side just to make it a neater appearance. and you don't have that end sticking out that can poke you when the weather changes. That's one down. We'll nip off the ends. And move on to the next fret. I'll come back when I have all the frets hammered in. Alright, I have the frets installed now. And the next step is to bevel the ends of the frets. You can see we're getting a bevel. We'll work on this a little more, and then we'll be ready to level. The frets are all level, crowned. I have gone through and checked them for any high spots and fixed those. Now I'm just going to take a file and I'm going to just smooth over the ends of the frets so that you don't catch your finger on a measure as you play. But these actually don't feel too bad right now. I always find that if I don't do this, or if I don't do it well, I will find those spots later on. Alright, so we've got them all smoothed out. Feels pretty good. Now I'm just going to take some polishing blocks, rubbers, and I'm going to polish the tops of the frets. And I'm starting with coarse, and I'll work my way up to extra fine to get a nice polish. Okay, we got the frets all polished up, and we're ready to sand and get this guy ready for assembly.